come back, a report on the Freedom Party between elections. Are you disenchanted with political parties that sometimes seem as similar as Tweedledee and Tweedledum? For some people, the Freedom Party offers a distinct alternative. When Kate Young filed her story before the 1985 provincial election, Freedom Party founders promised something fresh for the politically weary. How they're faring today is the subject of tonight's follow-up report.
This is a familiar sight in Ontario these days, campaign workers hammering election signs into lawns. But this election sign isn't quite as familiar. It's for the Freedom Party of Ontario, and one of its founding members is Mark Emery, well known for his opposition to London taxpayers supporting the 1991 Pan Am Games. He's the party's campaign director and says every issue in this election, whether it be jobs or censorship, ultimately involves the citizens' freedom of choice. Freedom's governments have consistently taken away.
We believe that the purpose of government should be to protect your freedom of choice and not to restrict it. And we believe that the three parties that are in government today, that are out looking for votes, are parties that are basically going to increase your taxes, increase our debt, and further restrict the options and opportunities and choices you have available to you.
Emery formed the party just over a year ago with Robert Metz, who's running in London South and also party president. Both were previously associated with the Libertarian Party, but were dissatisfied with its lack of commitment between elections. They say this party will be around after May 2nd, even if it loses. And they say they have no doubt they will.
It's a long, hard climb to the Freedom Party's provincial headquarters. Perhaps symbolic of the long, hard climb the party still faces before it reaches political respectability and achieves its goal of getting government off the backs and out of the wallets of the people.
Freedom in a political context means only that you're free from the coercive force of government to predetermine your choices. It doesn't mean you're free from your obligations to your landlord or free from your obligations to your family or to your job or to any of those things. Those are obligations that each of us in the course of our life assume either directly or indirectly on a voluntary basis. That's the whole point of freedom, is that freedom in itself, if it's properly defined, limits the action of an individual within a free society. In other words, I can't be free unless you're free, unless the people out there are free, each individual. Otherwise, freedom has no meaning.
What our job is, and especially what my job is, to educate them that freedom is indivisible, that certain aspects of freedom they feel comfortable, or more importantly, that they see themselves benefiting by. You know, people who like to read adult magazines feel they benefit from no censorship. People who are in the import-export business feel they're going to benefit from free trade. What they don't go one step further and do is they don't see how it's also the same principle that will allow other people to benefit in areas where they're not concerned. Like a lot of people who believe in free trade don't support the right to smoke marijuana, and yet the two are indivisible.
Heavy ideas. In the era of the 30-second clip and the photo opportunity, the Freedom Party doggedly plugs away at getting its message across to the voter. Emery and Metz and the 350 other Freedom Party members in Ontario are in this for the long haul, and they're determined to stay in it, whether it takes 5, 10, or even 20 years.
So we decided we were going to take it slow. We were going to start organizing on a grassroots level in communities where we could be there essentially on a full-time basis, and we do most of our campaigning and activity and education programs between elections, and that's why we're here on a full-time basis.
The recent garbage strike in London was an ideal opportunity for the Freedom Party to demonstrate how its vision would work. Not content to be held hostage, as party officials put it, by City Hall and striking outside workers, the Freedom Party hired a truck and collected garbage from some neighborhoods.
This is what we thought it was a constructive protest. It's a way of saying, listen, we don't feel that we should be blackmailed either by the city or by the union or by anybody about essential services. And yet rather than, you know, take petitions or protest or picket or something like that, we thought what more constructive way of going about it than picking up people's garbage and showing that they don't have to say, oh, we surrender.
The Freedom Party is in favor of contracting out garbage collection to private enterprise to increase competition, reduce costs, and keep the taxpayer from being held hostage during labor disputes. While collecting garbage during a strike may have been popular with some, the Freedom Party's stand in favor of Sunday shopping tends to be unpopular with many.
Hello, here's a brochure supporting your right to shop on Sunday.
No, I don't like it at all. It's bad.
Well, what are you buying things for?
Metz has been a Freedom Party candidate in the last 2 provincial elections. 11 candidates ran across the province last time around. The party only expects to get 1 or 2% of the vote. The important thing is to field candidates.
There's the element of political credibility. Can you be electable in the immediate future? Well, that's something when we started this party we knew would be at least a decade or 2 away. Because credibility in an election is a totally different, it isn't really that related to your ideas directly. It's related more to the credibility of the organization behind the ideas and its consistency and its ability to be there election after election.
Running for election is expensive. The Freedom Party does fundraising among its members, but it needs more. That's where its philosophy of self-reliance comes in. The Freedom Party is also a business. The latest project is a calendar of individual freedoms featuring the icons of its laissez-faire philosophy. The party is expecting to raise about $30,000 from the U.S. edition of the calendar.
We're trying to move more into giving them a physical product. We don't like to be beggars like political parties are assumed to be. We like to be producers, a goods provider, somebody who's going to give you some value for what it is we're asking you to give us.
Is this a business?
Well, everything that has to survive has got to be treated like a business, except love. But I mean, that's different. But definitely in politics, you've got to provide your market, that's the public, with something they can use, something they want, something they will continue to come back for.
The Freedom Party is challenging many of the aspects of society people hold most dearly. The Freedom Party would do away with government-run health insurance. Abortions would be legal, but a woman would have to pay for it herself.
People are interested in whatever they can get out of the system with the least effort. But unfortunately, and the government is more than happy to give them that, rather tragically, but a lot of people resist the responsibility of their own decisions. They'd rather, oh, if I screw up, somebody else gets to hold the bag. But if I actually, do well, then I want to keep it all. People hate paying taxes, but they don't want to stop the government spending, which they see themselves benefit from. Yet they're identical. They're the same thing. You can't lower taxes without cutting government spending. Everybody wants lower taxes, but nobody wants to cut back on feeding at the trough, the gravy train of government spending, and these two are related. You can't live like this for long without something just being destroyed, and likely it's your own future that's going to be destroyed if we continue to encourage our governments to tax us and spend us, and spend that money and taking it away from us all along, all the choices going away, all the money going away. But it's a long haul. These people have been weaned like drug addicts on government spending and government programs and promises.